Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Chris McKleroy from Nocs Provisions. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I highly recommend going back. We talk about Nocs's innovative products and the important lessons learned while launching the company. In this episode, we're diving even deeper, talking about future plans for Nocs, scaling and e-commerce strategies, and values-driven branding. Let's dive in.
After binoculars, of course, we're going for that, the most giftable. But yeah, I talked to Wiley and was like, hey, how do you guys get an REI? Maybe it would make sense for us. And he helped connect me with a rep group. So we had hired a few sales reps off the bat. And I mean, my learning with sales reps was, one, it's like, if you're doing a DTC brand, you don't just start layering in wholesale because you can't get the forecasting, the ordering, like it's a challenging step. And we found that using reps was a great kind of intermediate path to it. And also, I was deeply humbled. I could walk into a shop and be like, hey, what's up? I'm Chris. I'm the founder of Nocs and I design these products. And they're just like, okay, bud, good for you. We don't sell binoculars. Peace. And then like you have a sales rep who's known that buyer at the shop for like 10 years, they walk in, same binoculars. They're like, hey, yeah, we got these new binoculars. They're like, oh shit, we'll take them. You know, it's like, it's just like us knocking. So that was a huge learning is like, you know, if you yourself as a brand can find a rep that can understand you and get behind it,
your brand,
then they've got all the trust, you know, versus just like, I don't know who you are. High five on starting your own business, buddy. But, so the reps were great, and we had a few reps, and we ended up talking to a rep group that really focused on REI. And I think we probably spent 2 months interviewing us trying to sell our brand. And then once we got in, they were down. We set up a meeting with REI, and REI's like, oh yeah. We've seen you guys. We know about you guys. And then really had kind of a warm pitch. So gave them the rundown on what we're about as a brand. It's like, social justice is maybe a way that you could talk about that give back part of our business. Maybe I wouldn't. I like to say that we support access in nature and really focus on communities that typically haven't had access to nature. Social justice is a big, heavy term that I don't know if we fully would meet that criteria, but damn it, we want to spend money to support people, getting people into nature, groups that are led by those who they're trying to help, like not like crazy white savior stuff, but actually groups who are started by, let's say, people of color who want to get more people of color out into nature. That's the group. That's where we know that we love to support that kind of org. And REI, I think in 2020, 2021, really like had focused on their values and saw that value alignment. And it wasn't something that we did to make the company more marketable. It's an amazing thing to build a company like a consumer brand. You've created a platform. You have to talk about stuff. You have to show people in your ads and in your content. And so how you choose to use that platform and who you choose to work with and show is like, you're doing it. That's what a consumer brand is. And so these values really felt like just aligned with our personal, like, you know, heart. And so it's cool to see that kind of, I call it like the return on values, where REI was like, wow, we love this. We'll bring you in. And through anyone will tell you they can get a meeting at REI, but it's that stewardship of that account. Like, it's almost like cultivation of your partnership where you start, like, let's start with the 3 things we know will work. Hey, if they work, layer on our little binocular and kind of slowly cultivate that relationship. So it's a lot of work, and having a great rep in wholesale, no matter what door it is such a key to success.
Yeah, that's super cool. So you started this business in 2019. It's 2025 right now. The REI partnership seems like it was a big one. I also know that you expanded and opened up the Amazon channel. You also have a Crusher, Meta, and Google Ads strategy. What are some other things in that mix that have kind of helped you on that growth trajectory?
Yeah, it's a good question. No, it's great. It's like,
yeah,
you know, you gotta like layer in the business, right? And so there's kind of the three main ones are like direct. So through Shopify with paid ads on Facebook and or Meta and Google. Amazon kind of lump into that category as well. And Amazon it's like ad management as well and store management. Those two, it's interesting because it is kind of like a pay to play. Like a lot of companies, I think, look at, okay, like your gross margin for direct seems really big, but then when you factor in like a cost of a CAC or whatever, and free shipping, it kind of takes a chunk out of that. But those channels, like it's a great way for us to build brand awareness and like ads that represent who the brand is. And that really has felt like a block and tackle, right? Like it's not just like our return has deteriorated as we've sold to more people. And then looking at wholesale is kind of and the other piece is wholesale. And there's big wholesale players, there's little guys. Again, it's not like there haven't been many Hail Marys thrown. We've been running the ball, like in a sense where we'll get into wholesale, we'll see it working. We're building displays for wholesale now. So like stepping up the kind of brand presentation in store, understanding that like customer intent and the brand opportunity that we can potentially have with a display. And then we've also sold internationally through distributors. So those are kind of the three, revenue generating pieces of the business. And really it's just like, how can we layer on more? So in our wholesale specialty, like independent, we've seen our product get sold at like a MoMA store in New York City and at like super bougie hotels like Amangiri and Amangani, like these sort of like high design spots. And so we've started talking to this kind of gift world, which is like designy, and we went to the gift show in Las Vegas like last month, and starting to layer on a little bit of gift channel. We are being sold now. We had been sold in Public Lands, which was like an affiliate of Dick's Sporting Goods, and they've sort of folded up Public Lands back into Dick's. And they've taken like Dick's did a great thing where they took out all their guns and ammunition after, I think, Sandy Hook. And through Dick's, we're working on kind of cultivating that relationship and that brand story. But honestly, yeah, it's been a lot of like getting stores up to speed, making sure that they can sell, getting our Amazon or Shopify up to speed, and then kind of trying to just incrementally scale the thing, so adding distribution and then adding new products. So every year we've made a new product. This year we hired a product person. We're launching 3 new products. And there's this really cool monocular coming out that's like the Rebecca Babicz special backcountry little like scouter tool, super small, flips right into your bib. So, by layering on more product, I think like our growth drivers are product and distribution. So kind of incrementally building products and building distribution.
I just can't believe you've done like all of this in 6 years. Like it blows my mind.
There's something cool, like these kind of, one thing that was really interesting was having, when it's like your own little heady thing, it's like, okay, like you can do whatever you want, man, go ski, do this, work on your website. Who cares? But when you started hiring reps, the reps, like our reps aren't like, at Boombatics, our reps sold weed. The early reps. The later reps, were greasing palms left and right in the mobile industry. Wild trajectory there. But our reps have been like, they're selling Rumple, they're selling Cotopaxi, right? Those brands do sales meetings twice a year. And so our reps were like, hey, when's your sales meeting? And we're sitting here like, oh, yeah. It's when are sales meetings? May? But then it became this forcing function, right? Like we do 2 sales meetings a year. What do you do at a sales meeting? You present new products. You make a catalog. You try to sell pre-books for the wholesale business. Wholesale business is like 70% of our total business. And we have 20 plus reps, probably 15 agencies across the US, few internationals, and they go to sales meetings. So that forcing function, it's like, well, you got to make new product, you got to make new colors, you got to give them new. And so that sales meeting really created this discipline where it's like, you're working on this calendar and you better have something new for the reps, So I think that's kind of how we've this like accidental structuring by just jumping into that world.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I still say what I said originally. It's just like, I can't believe that you've just done so much in such what I consider little time. It's amazing. So my other question, something that fascinates me, right? I actually didn't know that your business was 70% wholesale. I thought it was a little bit more D2C because you started with D2C. And then so you're running ads and you guys have a crusher meta ad strategy. You're running Amazon ads. And then, like you said, you use those as kind of brand awareness. And so you guys are in wholesale, you're in all these REIs, all those stores that you said. Do you ever look at it like your Facebook ads are helping drive wholesale orders so that when somebody sees you in the REI store, they like recognize you because they've seen you maybe on Facebook? Do you ever is that like the blended kind of approach that you look at things, or do you really look at things like in silos where you're like, it's MER, or I don't know. It's like I feel like it's a hard question because it's like,
it's super valid, and I have an answer for you. It's like we are not at the scale yet where you're like just kind of like blanket, like we spend this much in our ads and we make this much like total revenue. You know what I mean? Like it's just because it's like we do look at them in a silo, right? Okay. And there's a lot of there's attribution stuff where you're like, well, Amazon's doing really, really well, and Facebook Meta, Google is doing pretty well, and like we have kind of a break even. We're not like advertising at a loss, but it is so 2 points is like, one is we look at them in a silo to make sure that they're at least covering their bases. They're somewhat we're not running at a loss, right?
Amazon's Amazon, Meta's Meta.
Meta's Meta.
Meta and Google are direct to consumer, wholesale's wholesale, Amazon's Amazon. Kind of 3 silos.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're like, well, Amazon, like if we turned off our Meta and Google ads, I guarantee Amazon is going to go down.
Okay.
Right? Like there's that attribution. So totally, like within just the digital world, there's that like kind of wonkiness.
Yeah.
And then I believe people want to see, right? This is like such obvious marketing stuff. It's like they need to see something like 5 times before they buy it. I'm sure at like $100, maybe less, but to be able to hit someone with like an ad, and then they walk into an REI and they try them, and then they go back and see another ad and they're like, oh, yeah.
And then they go to Amazon and get their free.
And then they go to... Exactly. But we're not at a point where we're just just lump it all together and it's all connected. And it's kind of more, there's more like minutia in that management just to make sure that we're not like dumping money into Meta's server farms.
Yeah. Super, super interesting. So yeah, I mean, on that vein, are there any channels that you haven't unlocked yet? Like you did mention TikTok. We didn't really talk about email, SMS.
Okay. So yeah, it's interesting. I think one challenge that we have right now that's, I think, going to we're risk takers, right? But we're like approaching the European channel in a way that's kind of a blended approach where we'll use distributors for their wholesale relationships, but we think that we can run direct ads in Europe pretty well. At least we can give it a shot. Because a lot of the times you sign up for a distributor and a distributor might go, yeah, I got a buddy who runs an ad agency. And you're like, okay, cool. But as you and I know, it's like not all agencies are created the same and have the same information. And so we're just cranking out ads here and we figure, well, can we layer on and test in Europe and kind of put the headlights out to see like, hey, are Nocs super popular in Italy and not popular in Germany? Well, great. Let's open a distributor to do wholesale in Italy. So we're trying to turn on international, like European direct to consumer. And that's just like a lot of compliance stuff, packaging, recycling requirements, tax requirements, warehouse stuff, like having basically like an importer of record and an operator, a responsible operator in those countries. So that'll be challenging. TikTok, I think we kind of dabbled in a bit. There's just it's hard to do everything with a small team. And we're a very small team. We have we've got a great team here in Alpine Meadows, the SMS thing is funny because like whenever I get SMS from a brand, I'm just like, I hate this. Like I'm like a chill guy, but I'm like, I hate, it's like really, it feels like an invasion of privacy. So there's been a lot of companies that are like, yeah, we can do SMS. And I'm like, I can't like brand or blah, blah. Like, it's like I don't want Nocs to be pestering people.
You got to copy Moments SMS strategy. They send out one text a year and you have to be on the list and you get the first access link to the ski blades. And they sell out within like 5 minutes and you have to be on the SMS list.
That's so yeah, that's amazing. Wow. That's so cool. It totally turns it on its head. Versus like I get the Armada SMS and it's like, hey, we got gloves for 20% off. And you're like, oh my God. I love the gloves, but yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I got ski blades though.
Oh, you already got them. Chipotle blades.
I got the old Solomon ones. I've been doing the Payne McShankly downhill race of the blades the last few years.
That's sick. So yeah, I guess like, so this podcast is about like reflection moments. Like I hope that we can get to one, right? But before we do, and we talk about, why it's all worth it. I want to hear some more of the like, dude, Becca, like the shit sucks. And I thought about going back to corporate America stories. Have any of those? I thought about going back in the tech. I thought about taking a tech job with my buddy in San Francisco. Stories. You seem super stoked. I don't even know if you have those. I mean, maybe
no, it's
dramatic,
cool.
But
like at Boombotics at one point when like it was crazy and like it just kind of felt like I was the like little like the only guy in product and was just like making stuff at like a blistering pace, like 6-month development times. I think I got like headhunted by Google to be like a product manager there. And I was like, yes, let's talk. And then they asked me questions like, how would you transmit information from Mars? And I was like, I mean, I can bullshit my way through anything, but I did not get the job. No, Nocs has felt pretty, it's been interesting because every year, if you do your job correctly, in my position, in my business partner's position, if we do our job correctly, the next year, it's a new job. It's totally new. It's crazy. It hasn't made me want to go back to corporate America, but it's made me be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I have to do this now? Like, it can get tiring. But yeah, like the first year, it's like, hey, if you successfully design your product and packaging and brand and website and copy, then you get to level up to running digital ads and learning about, and then it's like, and if you can run digital ads, then you can start a wholesale business. And once you start wholesale, then you got to do sales meetings and, like display stuff and that whole wholesale world. And then you layer on international and then you layer on a team and you have to figure out like, what is the design of the team? Like, how often do we meet? How do we do performance reporting? Like every year it's a new job. But all of it kind of roots back to, I think, design, like as dorky as that sounds, not industrial design, but like, what's the design of the project management tool for our team to use cohesively? Like, how do you talk with your team? How do you make sure everyone's happy? Like, yeah. So each year has been different and we had that.
Painful.
Equally painful and equally like exciting. And then on the other hand too, is like, I am such a chill guy. Like I like skiing. I like mountain biking. I don't believe that if you work 12-hour days nonstop that you're going to like be more productive somehow than if you're able to like today totally forget that you had a podcast at 9 a.m. because you're out there skiing. I skied for 1 hour and 1 minute and it was awesome and energizing and came back and now we're grinding. And I think that offering the team that, like, it keeps people fresh, it keeps them stoked. There really hasn't been too much of an itch for corporate America, but I can imagine, wherever this trajectory ends up, I'm not just going to go turn around and start like a stapler company or something. It's a lot of energy. So
yeah. Well, I mean, so you said your team's at Alpine Meadows, like you hired like people that all live up there?
We have an office at the bottom of Alpine Meadows Road, like next to the Crest Cafe. under a co-working space in like a beautiful solarium with lots of plants. And David lives in Tahoe Donner. Our product guy lives in Reno. So we come into the office 3 days a week. Product guy lives in Reno. We have our operations manager who lives in the condos in Alpine Meadows. And we have our marketing manager who lives in Incline. And our head of sales is between Berkeley and has a place in Olympic Valley. So it's pretty cool. You can see work. And, but yeah, I think that work-life balance feels really important. I mean,
Yeah.
being in the outdoor world.
I mean, Chris, you're crushing it. That was the outbreak moment. I tried to like pull out like the grind, the grit, the ugly stuff, and you just, I mean, you're crushing it. You're so happy. You could tell this is like the confluence of all the things that you've done in your life. You're doing it. You've got your own really successful brand. You're fired up. You got to ski today. You got an awesome team. They're all local. Kudos. Kudos.
Thank you so much. I will say the challenge for me has been the kind of, it's like the fangs like hook themselves into you. And there's times where it's like, I'm not going like I might come home and be like, oh my God, I don't have anything in the fridge for like dinner. Like, it's like there's laundry that really needs to be, there's just stuff that like I've been working on trying to kind of claw back how much, because I can think about the business stuff. This is like the entrepreneurial challenge. Like you're thinking about it nonstop. And I noticed it taking a bit of a toll just on my own personal life and in my relationship where I'm like so tied up in work and then like counterbalancing work with going to play that there's this sort of piece that I'm just working on where I'm like, man, you gotta make the time for more than just the work. And a lot of that is just making the headspace for it. So that is my like, aha, gotcha. Like we're doing good, we're killing it. And like, it can sort of slide off into kind of an unhealthy work personal life balance,
Yeah.
So there you go.
All right. That's fair.
Yeah.
I totally relate with the like, pairing work with like extreme exercise or something like that. That's like not really a break. And you're like, well, I wanted to go get a break, but then like I went and ski toured for like 3 hours and that wasn't really a break. Or
you get home, you lay on the couch, you're like, I do not have the motivation to make dinner right now. Like, yeah.
All right. Well, one last question. I'll let you go. What are you most proud of?
Most proud of? It's really cool to, I think, support organizations that have really celebrated the outdoors, like the BIPOC Bird Club of Wisconsin, the Special Bird Service Society up in Vancouver, the In Color Bird Club in Philadelphia. There's the Feminist Bird Club, like these kind of groups that are saying, hey, like, the Audubon societies, like they're great and they have a huge reach, but like kind of for that newer, younger group, starting up a birding club is such a big send. It's not like it's some big business thing. It's like coming from the heart and being able to align with those folks and to be able to be like, hey, we were glad, we'll send you 100 binoculars, like for your binocular library, or we'll send you money to help support your organization's programming. And then just to see the product out in the wild, like being used by groups that we really want to see just be successful in connecting with nature, like that feels cool. And honestly, it makes me proud and it makes me be like, we just like work all the time on this stuff, but these guys are actually out there doing it. So this year we're going to hopefully do more events and be out there. We've really had our heads down to get this to where it is, but it's just cool to see how people use the product. Yeah, I think the proud level comes from supporting those orgs and seeing how they use the product and then just seeing how other people use it. You're like, whoa, it's cool.
Such a rad product. It's so fucking rad. Yeah. It's really, really cool. It's really different. And it's like, you got more stuff coming. Is that what you're saying?
The new one coming, it's called the Zero Tube, and it's coming out. It's going to launch in REI and our website exclusively in May. And it's got a little clip. It's got super high quality glass coatings, and it's really small, but it's really bright. It looks sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll send you ones.
Yes.
When you come visit, we'll have one in, your guest room waiting.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I know. I appreciate you so much, Chris. It was so much fun to catch up with you. I hope that everyone that's listening is inspired and fired up and goes get themselves some Nocs or does something good in the world today.
Yeah. Thanks so much for chatting. I mean, it's great. It's like just personally, it's awesome to hang out and catch up. And thanks for asking all these cool questions. I feel like now I need to do a podcast and interview you on your journey.
No, this is awesome. All right. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Becca.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Opry Business Podcast. If you got value from today's conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an insight-packed episode. If you're feeling generous, leave us a review. It helps more business builders like you find the show. Got a story or a question you'd love us to cover? Connect with us at followlinedigital.com or reach out to us at podcast@followlinedigital.com. We can't wait to hear from you. Until then, keep pushing forward, keep learning, and don't forget to enjoy the journey.